What if I told you that you could slash your tier one customer support cost by uh, roughly 40 to 60%?
Right, which sounds huge on its own.
Exactly. But what if you could do that while simultaneously improving your customer satisfaction scores by up to 35%?
Yeah, I mean, if you hear that, it definitely sounds like an exaggerated sales pitch.
It really does. But today, we're actually looking at the real math and the specific technical architecture, making those exact numbers a reality.
And, if you are a European business leader or maybe a CTO or a developer listening to this right now, chances are you're the one tasked with actually executing on those seemingly impossible expectations.
Yeah, no pressure, right? So we're doing a deep dive today into the AetherLink 2026 strategy guide on AI voice agents and multimodal chatbots.
Our mission here is to figure out how enterprises are successfully deploying these incredibly advanced systems without bankrupting their IT departments.
Right, and crucially, without running afoul of the incredibly strict new EU AI Act. Because the entire landscape is shifting right now. We're moving away from those reactive, frustrating text bots toward highly intelligent AI.
It's a massive shift. And to understand those huge cost savings you mentioned in the hook, we really need to start with how fundamentally different the core technology is today.
Yeah.
I think everyone has some, lingering frustration from interacting with a traditional rule-based chatbot.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the old chatbots operated on the exact same logic as a rigid automated phone tree from the 90s.
Press 1 for sales, right?
Exactly. If the user didn't type the specific magic keyword that the developer hard-coded into the system, the bot just hit a dead end. It would just reply with, I didn't understand that.
Yeah, they were built on constrained decision trees. But modern AI voice agents are built on large language models, or LLMs.
Right.
To give a quick baseline, these foundation models, which are the massive generalized AI engines like a GPT-4 that power everything underneath, they're trained on billions of parameters.
And parameters, just to clarify for anyone outside of the development team, those are essentially the interconnected weights or internal rules the AI uses to understand context and predict the most logical next word, correct?
Precisely. So instead of looking for a specific pre-programmed keyword like refund, the model analyzes the entire structure of the sentence.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the phrasing and even the sentiment to decipher the nuanced intent behind the customer's request. It generates a completely original, contextually appropriate response on the fly.
Now, the strategy guide focuses heavily on a specific technological leap here, which is the transition to multimodal systems.
Right.
And I hear that term thrown around constantly in tech circles, but the physical mechanics of it are critical, because multimodal simply means the AI is processing multiple forms of communication or modes simultaneously.
Yeah, it's no longer just reading a text prompt. Imagine a customer calling in. The system is analyzing the actual audio frequency of their voice to detect, say, a tone of frustration. And at the exact same time, it is parsing the text transcript of that audio, pulling their visual account history from the database, and perhaps even analyzing a photograph of a broken product the customer just uploaded through the app.
All at once.
All at once. It synthesizes all of those distinct data streams concurrently.
Which gives the AI just a massive amount of context. I actually noticed a platform in the sources called Synthesia that pushes this into video generation.
Oh yeah, that's a great example.
They generate highly personalized video messages in over 120 languages. The guide highlights a financial services firm that used this multimodal approach to completely overhaul their user experience.
Right.
They cut their customer onboarding time from 8 hours down to just 2 hours.
That is wild.
Right. Simply because the AI could instantly generate a visual, natively spoken walkthrough tailored to the user's specific account type. And major players like Zoom, Accenture, and HSBC are already leveraging this.
And the reason this adoption is happening so rapidly is because accuracy jumps significantly when the system has that multi-layered context.
Makes sense.
IBM's research actually indicates that these multimodal systems achieve a 40% higher accuracy rate in intent recognition compared to the old single-channel text bots.
Wow. 40%.
Yeah, because the AI sees the whole picture. That translates to first contact resolution rates of over 75% for highly complex queries.
But wait, if you are a CTO listening to this, you are probably doing the math in your head right now and finding a major issue.
The compute cost.
Exactly. Running massive foundation models to actively process concurrent voice, text, and visual data for every single customer interaction sounds insanely expensive. The compute power required to do that live is enormous. How does that translate to a 40 to 60% cost reduction?
Well, that is the most critical question any enterprise can ask.
Very.
Because if you ignore the underlying compute costs, deploying this technology will literally drain your IT budget within a month.
Right.
This brings us to a mandatory discipline called FinOps, or financial operations. It is the meticulous, active management of the cost-to-performance ratio in your cloud architecture.
Okay, let's look at the concrete financial model the guide provides to see how the FinOps math actually works out in practice. They use a baseline setup of a mid-sized European enterprise with 500 support agents handling 2 million interactions annually.
Standard mid-sized operation.
Yeah. So how does the AI mechanically generate savings across the different support tiers?
Well, the savings compound at each step. So in Tier 1, which covers your basic billing inquiries, password resets, and order tracking, the voice agent is capable of handling roughly 60% of the total volume entirely on its own.
Wow.
Yeah, that deflection eliminates the need for human intervention on low-level tasks, yielding an annual savings of between 180,000 to 240,000 euros.
Which is pretty straightforward automation, but I found the mechanism behind the savings in Tier 2 much more interesting.
The knowledge synthesis.
Yes. The human agent is still taking the call here, but the enterprise saves another 120,000 to 160,000 euros through what the guide calls knowledge synthesis. Let me explain how this actually functions on the floor. While the human agent is greeting the customer, the AI is simultaneously scanning the caller ID, querying the CRM, pulling the customer's last 3 purchase invoices, and then generating a concise 3-bullet point summary directly on the human agent's screen.
It's brilliant. It completely eliminates the initial triage phase of the call.
Right.
The human agent never has to say, please hold while I look up your account history. That immediate context reduces the overall escalation handling time by 40%.
And that efficiency extends right into Tier 3, the highly specialized technical support.
Exactly.
The specialists spend 30% less time doing background research because the AI has already prepped a comprehensive cross-reference case file by the time the ticket reaches them. That yields another 80 to 100,000 euros.
It adds up fast.
It does. In total, this mid-size operation is looking at up to 660,000 euros in annual savings, with a payback period for the entire platform of just 6 to 9 months.
But that still leaves your initial question unanswered.
Right. How do they afford the underlying API costs to do all that constant querying and summarizing?
Well, the secret is a foundational FinOps strategy called right-sizing. You do not use your most expensive, heavy-hitting AI model for every single computational task.
Right. Like you wouldn't hire a PhD to sort your daily mail.
Exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. The system architecture utilizes a routing layer that acts like a triage nurse. It actively evaluates the complexity of the incoming query.
Okay.
So for 70% of routine questions, something simple like, what are your current interest rates? It routes the prompt to a smaller, incredibly fast, and highly efficient model like GPT 3.5 Turbo.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, the API cost for that model is fractions of a cent per interaction.
Which means you are deliberately reserving the expensive compute power, like a GPT-4, exclusively for the 20% of queries that actually require deep logical reasoning or complex data synthesis.
Precisely. And the final 10% is flagged immediately for human specialists.
That makes a lot of sense.
And beyond model routing, the cloud infrastructure itself has to be optimized. Cloud-native platforms utilize auto-scaling. The system actively monitors conversation volume and automatically dials down the server resources during low traffic periods, like at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, the AetherLink guide notes that auto-scaling alone reduces idle server costs by 30 to 45%.
It's massive.
I also noticed a fascinating architectural distinction they made between real-time streaming and asynchronous processing.
Oh, yes.
If a customer asks for a detailed comparative analysis of their last 6 months of transactions, the AI doesn't try to generate that massive report live over the phone while the API meter is running at a premium rate.
No, that would be incredibly wasteful.
Exactly. It acknowledges the request, validates it, and says, I'm compiling that report for you and will email it within 5 minutes. Processing that heavy computational task asynchronously in the background is 40% cheaper.
It is an incredibly elegant technical solution, but there's a massive catch.
Of course there is.
If you are a European enterprise employing auto-scaling servers, actively routing millions of customer audio files, and querying CRMs to generate asynchronous reports, you are handling an immense volume of sensitive data.
Right.
And that immediately triggers the stringent requirements of the new EU AI Act.
Yeah, this is where the legal reality really dictates the technical deployment.
Mhm.
Under the EU AI Act, any AI system used in access to essential public or private services is legally classified as high risk.
Exactly.
Customer service bots are constantly processing financial data, health details, or personally identifiable information.
And because of that high-risk classification, enterprises are legally obligated to guarantee transparency.
Meaning you have to tell them they're talking to a bot.
Right. You must explicitly inform the customer they are speaking to an AI before any critical data is exchanged or any binding decisions are made. Furthermore, you need comprehensive data governance protocols to continuously audit the model for bias.
And you absolutely must implement a human-in-the-loop mechanism. The AI cannot unilaterally deny a customer's insurance claim or close a bank account without a verifiable human oversight protocol.
Yeah, it can't just run wild.
What really caught my attention is how the AetherLink AI-led architect frames this regulatory burden in the guide. They state that compliance isn't a cost center, it's a competitive advantage.
Yeah, at first glance, that sounds like a paradox designed for a marketing brochure.
It really does.
But the underlying logic is incredibly sound. The vast majority of companies treat compliance as a checklist to complete only after the system is fully built.
Like an afterthought.
Exactly.
Right.
If you view compliance as an afterthought, you're essentially building a bank vault out of cardboard and then trying to paint it to look like steel later to pass a regulatory inspection. It's fragile, it's slow, and it is massively expensive to maintain.
And the alternative they propose is what they call an AI-led architecture approach.
Right.
You forge the steel from day one. You engineer the bias detection algorithms, and the human-in-the-loop routing triggers directly into the foundational code base of the platform.
And organizations that take this integrated architectural approach, they achieve deployment cycles that are 3 times faster than their competitors.
3 times faster. Wow.
Yeah, and because the regulatory governance is automated natively within the system, their ongoing compliance costs are 50% lower.
They also have to comprehensively document their strategy for mitigating systemic risks, right? Like general purpose models are scrutinized for things like hallucination, where the AI confidently invents false information, and even their overall energy consumption. You have to prove to regulators that you have a documented mitigation strategy.
You do.
Oh.
And once that foundational compliance architecture is secure, European businesses can finally tackle what Forrester data identifies as their single biggest AI hurdle.
Language fragmentation.
Exactly. 64% of European enterprises struggle with this operational barrier.
Which makes perfect sense. I mean, a perfectly optimized AI agent built purely in English is virtually useless for a pan-European operation.
Right.
But the technological leap happening right now is neural machine translation. These multimodal platforms aren't just doing direct word-for-word translation anymore. They are hitting 98% accuracy for industry-specific customer service vocabulary.
It's incredible. And more importantly, they're performing dynamic cultural adaptation.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, the AI automatically adjusts its level of formality, its conversational pacing, and its communication style based on the regional context of the language being spoken.
Wow. I actually found the code switching capability particularly fascinating because it mirrors how humans actually speak naturally.
Oh yeah, code switching is huge.
Right. Code switching is when a person fluidly mixes 2 different languages within a single thought. So a customer might call and say, ich brauche Help mit meiner Rechnung, blending German and English seamlessly. A traditional keyword system would instantly fail and disconnect. But these modern multimodal models understand the mixed syntax perfectly and continue the conversation without a single glitch.
And to see how all of this, the FinOps routing, the compliance architecture, and these multilingual capabilities actually operate together on the floor, the guide details a comprehensive case study of a fintech company based in Utrecht.
That case study is a perfect encapsulation of the challenges we've discussed. This financial services company had 125 human customer service agents serving over 200,000 customers across 8 different European countries.
A lot of complexity there.
Yeah. Their human agents were completely overwhelmed, suffering from a 38% annual turnover rate. They had massive escalation rates and highly inconsistent language support depending entirely on who was scheduled for a shift.
So they partnered with AetherLink to deploy an AI lead architecture. Phase one of the deployment was entirely focused on compliance mapping. They audited their processes, identified every high-risk interaction type like issuing direct financial advice, and built hard-coded, human-in-the-loop checkpoints for those specific intents.
Building the steel vault from day one.
Exactly. Then phase two involved training the multimodal agent on 50,000 historical interactions across all 8 of their supported languages.
Let's look at the operational results after 12 months. Their first contact resolution rate, which is essentially the holy grail of customer support metrics, jumped from 42% to 68%.
Huge jump. And their average handling time dropped from 6.2 minutes down to 3.8 minutes, simply because the AI was synthesizing that CRM data instantly before the human agent even spoke.
They ended up saving 580,000 euros annually. They achieved full EU AI Act compliance with zero regulatory friction, and they expanded to flawless support in all 8 languages. But, if we look at the human element, they started with 125 agents. How did the integration of this highly capable AI functionally affect those jobs? Did they all get let go?
Well, the data here actually subverts the very common expectation that AI integration instantly results in mass layoffs.
Really?
Yeah, the headcount did naturally optimize down to 98 agents over the year. However, that reduction was achieved entirely through natural attrition. There were absolutely no layoffs associated with the deployment.
Which means no one was fired to make room for the bot. And the sources point out something even more counterintuitive. The remaining human agents reported significantly higher job satisfaction.
Well, think about the mechanics of what the AI actually took off their plates.
Right.
It absorbed the mind-numbing, highly repetitive tasks, the endless password resets, and the basic account balance inquiries. It allowed the human agents to focus almost exclusively on complex problem-solving, deep empathy, and nuanced relationship management.
Right.
They stopped functioning like human APIs, which naturally elevated their morale and reduced the burnout rate.
It totally flips the entire traditional cost center model on its head. We've covered an immense amount of ground today, looking at the underlying mechanics of how these systems operate. If you had to distill this AetherLink 2026 strategy guide down, what is your primary takeaway?
I think it comes back to the absolute necessity of architectural foresight.
Okay.
The enterprise landscape right now is littered with expensive pilot program failures. What separates the wildly successful deployments from the failures is the refusal to treat the AI models, the cloud compute costs, and the legal compliance as isolated silos.
You have to build them together.
Exactly. You have to integrate FinOps, regulatory governance, and technical routing into a single cohesive AI lead architecture from day one. If you engineer that foundation correctly, the massive ROI naturally follows.
That makes total sense. My biggest takeaway really focuses on where this technology is heading as we approach 2026. We are shifting from reactive support, simply waiting for the customer to call with a problem, to proactive, agentic AI.
Oh, the proactive aspect is huge.
It is. The guide details a scenario with a B2B software as a service platform. The AI detects a churn risk because it analyzes behavioral data and notices a specific user hasn't logged into their account for 7 days.
Right.
Rather than waiting for a cancellation request, the multimodal agent proactively calls the user during optimal hours. It says, "I notice you haven't logged in recently. Are you encountering a technical blocker?" It discovers the issue, walks the user through a fix, and ultimately improves retention by 35%.
That's incredible.
It transforms customer service from a defensive necessity into an offensive business strategy.
Which raises a fascinating implication for the near future. IBM actually predicts that by 2026, these proactive super agents will handle 70% of routine enterprise operations autonomously.
70%! Wow!
Yeah. So I want to leave you with this thought to mull over. If your enterprise's AI is now an autonomous orchestrator, actively reaching out to solve problems, what happens in a couple of years when your AI agent calls a vendor to negotiate a software refund and it ends up speaking to their AI agent?
Oh, wow.
Right? How will the fundamental mechanics of business and commerce change when highly capable AIs are continuously negotiating with other AIs on our behalf?
For more AI insights, visit etherlink.ai.